Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we are reading from Entitled Parents. Our first post is by Here Queer and Great. How dare this movie theater give a disabled person a fair chance at employment? At one of the movie theaters I frequent, there is a ticket scanner who has some kind of medical condition. Cerebral palsy, I believe, though I'm not 100% sure. He's in a wheelchair, and his hands are kinda droopy, if that makes any sense. His job is basically to check your tickets, or if you bought the ticket online, to scan the barcode. He does have a bit of difficulty doing it, as you can imagine, but he does do a good job of it. After he scans my barcode, I always say thank you. The last time I went to that particular movie theater, I was in front of a woman with two younger children. The guy was trying to scan the barcode, but was kinda struggling to keep his arm in the exact position that he needed it to be. No worries, me and my cousins were early to the theater, so we had plenty of time to wait. However, the mother was clearly getting frustrated. Eventually, the ticket taker managed to scan the barcode and told the mother where she and her children needed to go. I assumed that she would just be on her way. However, I distinctly heard her say, "They need to stop hiring." I can't even bring myself to say the word, but you can probably guess what it is. I was absolutely flabbergasted. You hear about this kind of ableism, but to actually see it is a completely different experience. My younger cousin actually whispered to me, "Did she just say what I think she just said?" All four of us were absolutely horrified, and the fact that she said it loud enough for that poor boy to hear was even worse. It's not his fault. You think he asked to be born this way? However, the saddest thing about this whole situation was that it honestly wouldn't surprise me if that's not the first time he's heard that. Needless to say, I made sure to be extra polite to him. I would have been polite anyways, but I felt he needed extra encouragement after that rude stuff. Can we all just agree to treat people with special needs with the respect that they deserve? Our next post is by Letowin, entitled Parents Leave Child at Church for Free Babysitting. I read another story recently that reminded me of this incident, which took place in the early 2000s. I was working at a large church, 2,000+ members, and on Sundays I ran the audio and video booth. We had 3 services, a 7 a.m. early service, the main service at 10 a.m., and a late service at 11:30 a.m. Each service ran for about an hour and 15 minutes. One Sunday during the 10 a.m. service, the pastor's wife went into labor 3 weeks early. The pastor left in the middle of his sermon, and the youth pastor took over. The youth pastor did a great job of taking over and wishing the mother and baby well, and that service wrapped up early. We had a quick meeting to decide what to do about the 11:30 service, and the youth pastor volunteered to give a sermon he had prepared for youth group later in the week. It was his first time giving a sermon in front of that many people up on the big stage. He was nervous and rolled through it quickly, then forgot about the closing songs, so church ended at 12:15 instead of the normal 12:45. Everyone had cleared out of the church by 12:30-ish. I shut down all the equipment and turned out the lights and went down the hall to make sure the lights were out in the classrooms like I normally did. One light was on, and I found Kay, another church employee who worked in the nursery on Sundays. She was sitting in a rocking chair rocking a toddler, and I saw tears rolling down Kay's face. I asked her what was wrong, and she could hardly speak. She was so upset. She said the toddler's parents had dropped him off before the early service and never came back. The poor baby had been there for almost 5 hours. The parents had not given a contact number. All Kay knew was the child's first name. I immediately called the youth pastor, who quickly turned around and came back to the church. The child was very out of sorts, either hungry or tired. We had snacks but no food, and there wasn't really a place to put a kid down for a nap. I ran to get some chicken nuggets while they figured out what to do. When I got back, a couple had pulled in right in front of me. They asked where everyone was, and I said church ended early. They said, "Okay, we are just here to pick up our son." I wasn't about to get involved with the drama, so I just unlocked the door and let them in. The youth pastor was livid and lit into them. It turns out the parents wanted some time alone and had been dropping their kid off at church and then leaving to go do stuff. They had been doing this for weeks, just dropping him around 7:45 a.m. and coming to pick him up around 12:45 p.m. Here is the part where the parents are really entitled. They got mad at the youth pastor for ending church early. They yelled at him for endangering their child and threatened to sue. The dad was up in the youth pastor's face, and I thought they might fight, but the youth pastor was a big dude, and I think that kept the dad from doing anything else. I didn't stay in there. I went into the next room with Kay and the child and gave him the nuggets, which he gulped down. The parents finally took the kid and left. The youth pastor and his wife took us to lunch because we, mostly Kay, were still upset by the whole thing. I think about that kid a lot. I hope his parents didn't abandon him. I wish I had a follow-up, but as far as I know, they never came back. Our next post is by Mythic Cell. My parents are next-level nuts. Hey everyone. I'm a 16-year-old boy. I reside in Canada and want to share probably the most cluttered 3 hours of my life that all happened this morning. Okay, so picture this. I get woken up by my sister that I've failed a subject and need to go sign up for summer school. I just say okay, as I'm not too awake yet, but don't mind it. I then start to hear my sister belittling me and continuously abusing the fact that I'm inferior to everyone because I've failed a subject. I then wake up and get ready in a hurry, as I'm not too sure what the best course of action is just yet. Shortly afterwards, I go get my phone, only to see 5 missed calls in the last 4 minutes, so I go ahead and call back. My dad then proceeds to scream at me about how much of a moron and a lazy a-hole I am, threatening to kill me and beat me up for being such a failure. That particularly triggered me, as I've been exhibiting symptoms of ADHD and autism, especially over the last year. So, my sister has me sign up, which of course means more berating and insults, but I've learned to tune her out. A little while later, I try relaxing a little, as I'm still not fully awake and kind of overwhelmed. I get a call from my dad around that time. I shouldn't have picked it up, as he then proceeded to tell me I'm a lazy moron and that I'm an idiot for probably being the only one who didn't pass my year. I just ignore him and try to just power through, not giving into his insanity, but the end really pissed me off. He sent threats my way, stating, and I quote, "I swear, I'm gonna kill you and mop the floor with you if I find out you're not doing math every second of the day." Obviously, I then start trying to shut down the conversation, as nothing of value is to be said. He continues yelling on about how I'm dumb and that I have a rampant attitude because I said instead of okay. Seeing as this literally just happened, I'm pretty shaken up and don't know what to do. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you for reading. Next up, posted by Veggie Vengeance. I put vegetables in all my food so my roommate's kid won't eat them. The mom is upset. I 26F, live in a rented house with a single mother 30F, and her son 6M. I had another person living with me, but they moved out and the mother moved in. I don't mind living with her and her kid. It's fine and we kind of do our own thing. I spend a lot of time at my boyfriend's place or working. Our work schedules collide so we really don't interact much, but when we do, it's fine, no issue there. I want to start with saying that she clearly struggles financially, but I don't think it's an excuse. I don't make lots of money either. However, I've noticed that my food would go missing or portions would be taken from it. I assumed it was her kid, so I asked her if she'd stop him from eating my food. I was calm about it, and she just said she would. It didn't really upset me when it first started. It started getting annoying when I'd get home from work and expect to have a meal's worth of leftovers in the fridge, only to see it picked through or just gone. I kept bringing it up, and she started getting annoyed with me bringing it up. Just from observing them, I realized that neither of them ever eat vegetables. And judging by the food that would get picked through and the food that would be untouched, anything with green in it was avoided. Orange chicken would be gone, but chicken and broccoli would be untouched. So I started putting vegetables in everything. I find vegetables to be delicious, and anything green or not a potato does not get eaten. So I could mix some bell peppers into the food and it would be fine. I make a big portion of vegetables pretty frequently anyway, so I just started putting it in everything I eat. If I had leftover mashed potatoes, I'd pour green beans in and mix it up. If I had leftover cheesy bacon fries, I'd pour broccoli all over it and mix it in. Usually my homemade stuff has vegetables in it, but I started making sure everything did. I made a pot of mac and cheese, the kids' favorite thing, and poured in roasted Brussels sprouts, which is actually delicious to me, and I'm eating more vegetables, so it's a win-win. She had been seeming annoyed, but we were all home when I made the pot of mac and cheese. She was in the living room and saw me get out the Brussels sprouts and was like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I poured them in. She said I was being greedy and annoying. I just said, "I like Brussels sprouts," and that was it. She said, "We need food," and I told her to go get some. Or stop buying only pre-packaged things and your money will go further. I think she sees this as some big act of revenge, but I just simply want to be able to eat my food. Also want to add that the sharing is not the issue. It's expecting to have food there, and it's not. So often, I'd be working a long day and get home expecting to have a meal's worth of food and it all be gone. Or I wake up in a rush and had my food ready to eat in the morning only to find it gone. So now I have to skip breakfast. If she would simply text, sometimes, "Hey, is it okay if we eat food item?" I would know to make other plans. I would stop for food or know I have to whip something up when I get home. Also, I think eating the last of someone else's food is crazy and rude. If someone makes a big pot of something and you ask for a serving, sure. But if someone made something and there is one serving left and you eat it without permission, that is evil as hell. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.